All right, how are we all doing today? It is Friday. It is February 21st, and I am Super Sick Cobra here with you again. I didn't do an analysis on Monday. I'm very sorry. I've just been very sick. You can probably tell I don't look so great. I don't feel so great, and I probably don't sound that great either. So just bear with me. Let's go ahead and get into the charts. And like I said, I'm going to go ahead and make it pretty quick today. I want to focus on some price action and some Ichimoku Cloud as well. Okay, so coming into the chart here, up here we've got our all-time high resistance. Down here we've got our long-term support. And then this is our very, very important range that we're in right here. But before I get into that, this line right here, this is going to be our long-term resistance. So since back here, and then we tested it again when we hit about 14K, this is our long-term resistance line. Once we break this, this would basically send us into a full-blown parabolic move and probably end up re-entering a price discovery phase like we did back in 2017. So once we break this, obviously our all-time high resistance would be our next, and then if that breaks, then it's off to the races. But what I really want to focus on is this range that we've had here. So this is kind of like our midterm range. We've been back and forth in this for quite some time, and definitely back here. This range, just from looking at price action, you can tell exactly how important this range is, especially on the weekly chart. These levels play a very significant role in terms of support and resistance levels, and they're very important in terms of our price action. So we've got our upper high range, our higher high range, and we've got our ultimate low range here. And we've kind of got these barriers in here, right? So this is our low range. We've got our upper and our lower low, and then our high range, our low high and our higher high. And then this is just our midpoint that I have here in gray. So right now, what ended up happening is over the last couple of weeks, as we were working our way down from 14K, we used this mid range as very strong support. We came up, we tested the top extreme of our high, and we ended up seeing resistance here at our lower extreme of our high range before we ended up coming down. We blew right past the midsection. We were kind of using this upper low area as our support until we start breaking up higher. And now we're just kind of stuck here in this range again. We've tested this now for a second time. We didn't wick it on this candle here, but we did wick it twice now. So we've tested this 3 times in a couple months. Since October, we've tested this upper high range 3 separate times, and we have not been able to break through this. So that tells me that not only is there a really extreme amount of supply up here, but it also tells me that it's going to probably be some time before we're actually able to break through that. So on the weekly chart, what this tells me is that once this candle closes, if we close in this range, that's good. But the lower part of this range, by the way, is 9,500. So that's actually still a pretty strong level. I think that we're probably in for seeing our mid-range again around in the 8,000 area, somewhere in here for the midterm. I don't think that this is going to be a sustained move. And if we do end up breaking down past 9,500, then I would definitely expect to see quite a large sell-off in terms of panic selling and people capitulating, people running and taking their profits before a further downside. Now, we do have a level of support in here that's right around $8,700, 86, 8,700. And I would expect to see that level as support first, but that level really didn't act as too great of support and resistance the last time that we broke down from there. The last time, that's pretty much where we saw capitulation form, and we broke right down. So that would be the first level of support, albeit it's not very strong. And then I would be expecting to see levels of about 8,000. So on the weekly chart, that's at least what the weekly chart tells me. In terms of our indicators on the weekly, it looks like we're starting to slow down. We're starting to see some slowdown in our momentum here. On our momentum oscillator, our weekly MACD is coming in for a bearish cross, and our RSI has turned over. We broke through our mid-range, through our 50 point, and now we're actually using this very well-known 56 level as support and resistance. So if you actually move this to 56, you can see on the weekly chart how much this acts as a resistance and as a support level. For some reason, it's not 50 on Bitcoin. I don't know why, but basically that would line up with our price action here. If we fall below 9,500, that we're also going to cross below this threshold on the RSI, and we're going to see some new lows. And I don't mean new lows in terms of 6,400. I just mean new lows in terms of this move that we've had in general. So on the daily chart, looking in here, it looks like the count that I have is pretty much playing out on this larger time frame, that we're coming in for a 4 here. For this count to hold true, we pretty much can't go very much deeper than where this 4 is. We can't go beyond this red box pretty much. If we go beyond this red box, then this count would be invalid, and I would be pretty much going back to my original count, which would have either this move here or this move here as our potential 1, with this or this being a 2, and then this would be our 3, 4, and then this would be our top. So I do still have some high hopes that we're just seeing, we're going to just range in here, for some time, and we're going to see some kind of extended fourth wave before we come up for more. This would have to be happening pretty quickly, though, as we're getting closer and closer to the halving. So you can also see that on that 56 level play out even more on these lower time frames. On the daily chart, we use that as a very strong level of support here, and resistance, support, resistance, support, and resistance. So just something to take note of. On the daily chart, we are seeing obviously a lot of bearish momentum. Our momentum oscillator has definitely turned over, and our MACD is definitely bearish. We got a bearish cross, and now we have crossed below into the bearish territory. It does look like we're coming in for some kind of bounce here off of this massive move that we had. But I really honestly don't expect it to be much. I think probably we're due for a retest of about 10,000 before potentially seeing further downside, or just forming a range here. So I want to switch back up to the daily, or the weekly chart, excuse me, real quick, and just go over Ichimoku real fast. So if you look at this, we tested exactly, I'll zoom in here a little bit. We tested it pretty much exactly the top of our cloud, right? So once we broke down into our cloud, we were using this 50 and our 100 EMAs on the weekly as support, along with this massive support from our Kijun and our Tenkan-sen lines, right? And basically we broke through those, and we came up, we tested the top of the cloud, and now it looks like we're rejecting exiting the top of the cloud here, at least for now. And we're coming back down to test some of these levels. So on the weekly chart, again, that lines up with about that 8,700 resistance or support now, that it would be now at this level right here, about 8,700. So coming down to a daily chart and taking a look at this, we actually just broke below, and again, just so that you guys can reference, the blue line is our Tenkan, the red line is our Kijun, and then I actually modified these values, but the purple is my 50, the orange is my 100, and then the 200 is the yellow. So we were using all of these levels. Back in my previous videos, I go over this in extensive detail, that we were using all of these levels as very, very strong support. And now that we've broken below, it looks like we're coming up, we're retesting here. And again, even on this daily time frame, where does our 50 lay? Well, right at about 9,000. So pretty much that would be our first immediate area to test. And then down here, we're seeing a lot of confluence in these levels across the different time frames. And then down here, we're seeing that 86, 8,700 level right around previously where the top of the cloud was. We've got our 200 moving average here, our 100 moving average here. So we're looking at that, coming down and testing that if we don't end up coming back and breaking up and closing above. So coming down to a 4-hour chart and looking at this, what's very surprising here is that we've been using our 200 moving average as very strong support. This is actually the first time that we've tested the 200 moving average since back here on the 5th of January. So this was definitely a very strong move right here. This was actually, it ended up being a long squeeze. So none of this was manipulation. None of this was, massive whales buying and selling or anything like that. This was basically just a long squeeze happening. So we tested the bottom of our cloud and we tested our 200 moving average, and we're still inside of the cloud here. So coming back into the cloud, normally what traditional Ichimoku rules tell us is that trading when you're inside the cloud is basically a no-go. On the 4-hour chart, definitely a lot of bearish signs here. We're coming to the point where not too much longer do we have until we start really making a decision of if we're going to break down out of this cloud or not. Now, if we do break below this cloud, I'm definitely going to be midterm bearish on this move. And the reason why is because every time that we've broken down into this cloud before on the 4-hour, we've come right back out of it and continued our bullish momentum. We've never completely broken down through this cloud except for here, which was a fake out, and here when we saw this massive capitulation. So if we break down through this cloud again, I'm definitely going to be expecting to see lower levels in general. So on the 1-hour chart, I want to kind of go ahead and take my Ichimoku off and look at our Elliott wave count here. So Elliott wave count, this is originally what I had before this move happened, and now what it's looking like here is kind of a funky looking wave here, kind of funky. This would definitely be a very, very long 4. Wave 3 can be the longest, but it can't be the shortest, but there's really no issues there. Wave 2 here would definitely be our shortest. We actually just rejected that here, and now we're moving down to the downside. So I think if we see a lower low on our RSI and we start seeing lower lows here in price off of this smaller price action move, then we're definitely going to be in for some lower prices to reach my targets down here at about the bottom area of this red box. So on our daily chart, if we look at this, this is pretty much the range that I'm expecting to be in on these lower time frames. We've got this range that's up here, and then our mid range is all through here, right? So we're pretty much going to be playing this range from the top here, which is about 10,500, probably down to the bottom, which is about 9,200. So about a $1,200 range or so. That's pretty normal for Bitcoin to be ranging in. And if you think about it, we've kind of already been doing that from back here, back at the end of January. We kind of had this this long extension where we just kind of went sideways. We broke out. We had a correction, and then we popped back up. We tested this high range up here, and now we're rejecting. We're coming back down again. So we've kind of already been in this range for some time. So I would kind of just expect this to be going on for some more time before Bitcoin either decides, okay, we're going to be going and seeing new lows and the trend has changed. This would be our wave 5, and we started reversing here, and now we're going to be coming down and seeing ranges of about 8,000 or 7,600. Or we're going to find support here for a wave 4, find support at about 9,200, and start a new impulse up to see our new highs of about $12,000, $11,500 or $12,000 to complete a wave 5. Again, I'm sorry, I don't sound very good. I don't feel very good either. I've been drinking tea and just trying to feel better. I've been getting over the flu. But at the end of this video, there's going to be an announcement of what our partner DueDEX is going to be doing, and a lot of new features that they have been adding to their exchange, along with a new pairing as well. So we're extremely excited that this is going to be happening. It's going to bring a lot of attention to their exchange since they've only had one pairing, which is Bitcoin thus far. So Very, very awesome. Definitely go ahead and check out our referral link at DueDEX.com/edge. You can get up to a $110 trading bonus with qualifying deposit there. So really, really awesome news for that. And without further ado, I will see you guys on Monday once I'm feeling better. Take it easy. Enjoy the weekend. Spend some time with the family. Happy trading.